being a doctor. Do you have dreams like that?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with cleaning a bathroom for a living, but that's not what you dream about doing. Okay? My mom is a school bus driver, and she's a seamstress. That's probably not what she dreamed about doing when she was a kid. She dreamed about being a mother. She has 4 kids. They all went to college. They're all successful. They all played sports in college. That was her dream. So your dream is different than the dream that I had and different than the dream that I'm having right now. But in order for you guys to be able to make your dream become your reality, there's several things that you're going to need to be able to do. So when you have a dream, in order for you to make that dream something that's tangible, that's real, you have to set a timeline for that goal. You have to put a date on it. So an overall goal for me when I was 14 years old is I wanted to be a professional athlete. I didn't even know what sport it was because anybody that I shared my dream with laughed at me because I was 108 pounds. There's 4th graders in here that probably weigh more than I did when I was a freshman in high school. I was 108 pounds. I had dreams. I had aspirations of doing something incredible with my life. Walking into a room and people getting excited. But if I shared that with anybody, they laughed at me. And that was okay. Because at the time, I didn't know if it would ever become reality as well. But what I did was I set that goal for myself. And I knew in order for me to become a professional athlete, I was going to have to get bigger. I was going to have to get stronger. I was going to have to get more explosive as an athlete. And so it was difficult for me because in order for me to find the strength and the power and the speed that I needed to become a professional athlete, I was going to have to change my body. And there were people that I played basketball and football and ran track with and played soccer with in high school that were just naturally, God made them bigger, faster, stronger than me. So I was going to have to overcome some things in order to become an elite athlete. And so I went to the library and I read books and I read a bodybuilding encyclopedia and different pieces of information that helped me to be able to develop a plan. And so those are the first few steps to living your dream. You have to identify what your vision is, what your dream is. Next, you have to set a goal. My goal was to become a professional athlete. The third step is to develop a plan. And the way I develop a plan, it's a lot easier for you guys. Because if you guys want to talk to me, or if you guys want to talk to somebody who's the best in the world at what they do, you can just pull out your smartphone or go on the computer and tweet them, send them a direct message on Instagram, or follow what they're doing on Snapchat. And a lot of those people, they share what they do on the daily that makes them the best in the world. For me, I couldn't tweet anybody. I couldn't follow them on Instagram. I had to go to the library and read books. And so once I got that information, I developed a workout plan for myself. Every single morning at 6 a.m., I would be in the school gym until 7:30. I would shower. I would go to school. After school, I would have practice for the sport that I was playing. I played 4 sports in high school: basketball, soccer, track, and football. And then after football practice or soccer practice was over, I'd go home, I'd do my homework, I'd eat dinner with my family, and then I would go back to the weight room. And I did that 6 days a week. Almost every single day of the week, I was working out 2 times, and I was going to practice. Because I had a burning desire inside of my heart that I wanted to achieve my goal more than I wanted to hang out with my friends at the mall, more than I wanted to play video games or watch a movie. I wanted that more long term than how much I wanted to waste time doing things that had no return. So during the course of 4 years of high school, I gained 117 pounds. I went from 108 pounds the day that I entered college, and the day that I walked across the stage to get my high school diploma, I was 225 pounds. And it wasn't luck, okay? It was the consistent investment of my time, my energy, and my passion on the track, in the weight room for 4.5 years. So was I, at that point, when I was 18 years old and I graduated from high school, was I in the pros yet? No? Okay, well, I still got to go. I still had some things I needed to achieve. But what I did achieve was the first step, Actually, it was the second step in order for me to live my dream. The first thing I needed to do was make it onto the varsity team. And so during that 4 years of hard work and dedication and sacrifice, I made it onto the varsity team. And then once I made it onto the varsity team, I needed to become the best player on the team. And once I became the best player on the team, then I became the best player in the state. And once I became the best player in the state, I received a scholarship to college. So I could go to almost any school in the country, and they were going to pay for my school, pay for my apartment, and pay for my food for me to play football at their school and run track at their school. I did that. And then once I get to college, I had to become a starter on the team. And I did that. I had to become an All-American. I had to become the best in the country at what I did. And I did that. Then once I did that, I had the opportunity to play in the National Football League. But it wasn't like, hey, now you're in the NFL. No. I was undrafted. I made it into the NFL, and I had to earn my starting position in the NFL where I was going to be cut, and my dream was over. So I continued to work. From age 14 until I was 24, that's all I could think about. I was completely obsessed with it. There were things that I missed out on in high school and in college that other people were doing that were probably really fun. But those are the same people that were teasing me for, hey, we're going on a canoe trip this weekend, and we're going to float down the river and drink beer. I didn't take those opportunities. And they used to tease me because I said, I can't go. I've got to do this workout, or I've got to work on this, or I need to improve this in my life. And I made the sacrifice on missing out on opportunities like that. But the same people that were teasing me for not going on those canoe trips or staying out all night partying, those are the same people that called me and sent me messages on Facebook. Hey, you're going to be in Chicago. Hey, you're going to be in Indianapolis. Hey, you're going to be in Houston. I live here. Can I get tickets to the game? They weren't supporting me. They weren't encouraging me. They didn't want me to live my dream. They wanted me to drink beer and float down the river in a canoe. But that wasn't my dream. So for you guys, I want to tie a bow on this and make it very simple for you to understand. You identify what your vision is, what your dream is. You set a goal for yourself. You develop a plan for yourself. And the last piece of the puzzle for you to be able to have a dream and make it come to life to where you wake up every morning and you feel like you're living in a dream because you work so hard that you're living it, is work. And that's where 90% of people will fail in living their dream. It's the execution. It's the waking up at 5:45 because you got to be in the weight room at 6 a.m. It's coming home from school after working out in the morning and going to practice and having to do your homework and then spending time with your family, eating dinner. 7 o'clock rolls around. In order for you to live your dream, you're going to have to get in your car and drive to the weight room because you've got another 60 minutes of work that you need to get done. But it's not going to happen in one day. It's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen in a month. But anything in your life that is worth achieving, anything in your life that is going to give you long-term success is going to take long-term commitment. It's going to take the consistent execution and investment of your time, your energy, your effort, and your passion. It took me 10 years to be able to have the opportunity to step foot on an NFL field. 10 years. That's a long time, guys. That's over 3,600 days. I took very, very few days off during that time period. The only time I took a day off was when I physically could not get to where I needed to go. So it was 10 years, but what it enabled me to do is, from age 14 to age 24, is more, even on a grander scale, than having an opportunity to play in an NFL game, because I grew up in Indiana, and I never went to an NFL game. My parents couldn't afford to buy me tickets to go watch Peyton Manning play football. But you know what I did? I worked my butt off every morning and every night for 10 years. And so even though my parents couldn't afford tickets for me to go play or to go watch Peyton Manning, I earned my ticket and I made it into the NFL. And not only did I go and watch Peyton Manning play, I played against him. That's a pretty surreal feeling for you to grow up and watch somebody play football and just wish and hope that you could go watch them play, but you worked so hard and made so many sacrifices that you're on the very field that he's playing on. So I got to play on the same field as the people that I idolized when I was your age. Peyton Manning played for 18 years, and so when I was 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, he was already in the NFL. And so I worked so hard to be able to earn the opportunity. Nobody gave it to me. I earned the opportunity and the right to be on the same field as him because he was one of the best quarterbacks in the world. But I worked hard enough to be able to become one of the greatest punters in the world at my position. So I just encourage you guys to go home tonight and think about what it is you really want to do with your life. You're like, oh man, I'm 9, 10, 12, 13 years old. I've got my whole life ahead of me. Yeah, you do have your whole life ahead of you. But the decisions that you make today will positively or negatively affect the next 60 years of your life. So if you guys are hanging out after school and you have friends that are smoking cigarettes and stealing things from stores, or maybe you might have some older brothers or cousins that are into things that are not going to make them successful later on in life, those are not the type of people you want to be around, okay? Because those people are the same people that were trying to get me to go down that canoe and drink beer instead of working hard towards my goal. So the decisions are difficult when you're right now because you don't know whether or not it can be real. If I could show you guys a picture of me when I was 14 years old, my arms were about that big around, and people laughed at me when I told them I wanted to be on the varsity team. But really, I didn't want to be on the varsity team. I wanted to be in the NFL. So that's my story, and that's how I was able to go from a very small farm town in Indiana with big dreams and big aspirations of doing something amazing with my life, and with sacrifice and a great plan and positive people surrounding me and encouraging me, I was able to live that dream. And now I'm 33 years old, and I've got a family of my own. I've got an 8-year-old son, and then I've got 3 daughters that are 6, 3, and 1. I'm excited for them because I don't know what their dream is. They don't even know what their dream is, but I am working with them every single day to try to impress upon them it doesn't matter what your dream is. The formula for you pursuing and achieving your goals is the same for me at 14 years old as it is going to be for them at 10 years old. It's the decisions that you make. It's identifying your vision, setting your goal, developing a plan, and then going to work. Don't ever be afraid or intimidated by how big your goal is. Because people in life will continually put limits on what they think you're capable of. But you're the only person that can stop you from achieving your goal. I want to take about 10 minutes and answer questions because that was one of my favorite things to do whenever I was a kid, was just to ask questions. And I never had the opportunity for somebody that was in the NFL or somebody, a president of a company. I didn't have opportunities like you guys have right now to just ask questions. So you guys should be very, very thankful. I've met your principal. I know Ms. Alento very well. You guys should be very, very fortunate and thankful that you have teachers and administrators and police officers in this community that care so much about you to set something like this up, because this is very, very valuable information. It's the same stuff that I share with my son every single day, and it's because I care about him. And the reason that I'm here with you guys, I'm not getting paid money to be here. I could be a million different places. But the reason that I'm here right now, spending my time with you, is because I want you to be able to live like I live right now. When I wake up in the morning, I do what I want to do with the day. I don't do what I have to do. And I'm 33 years old. I'm going to live hopefully another 60 years. That's a lot of years to be able to do whatever you want to do. You don't want to have to work and work and work and work at a job you don't want to work at just because you didn't pay the price when you were 18, 19, 20 years old. Get your work done when you're young, so when you hit 35, 36, 40 years old, you can do what you want to do, what you're passionate about doing, what you love. One of the greatest things that I ever was able to do with my life was when I was, this is the last story that I'm going to share with you guys before I open it up for questions. When I was 16 years old, I asked, and my mom was a school bus driver and a seamstress, even back then. I asked her, she'd never had a vehicle that she wanted. You know, when she got married, she bought a van because my mom started a family. They had my older brother. They were planning on having more kids. And so initially they bought a station wagon. So my mom drove a station wagon, and my dad had a pickup truck. And then after we grew out of the station wagon, and we had my younger sister, they bought a van. And after they bought that van, they bought another van. And so my mom had never had a car that she actually wanted. And so when I was 16 years old, my mom's driving this big maroon van. I asked her, Mom, if there's any car in the world that you could have, what would it be? And she said, you know what? I would really love to have a Mustang convertible with peanut butter seats and a CD player. Pretty simple request. So I said, Mom, when I fulfill my dream, I play in the NBA or the NFL, I'm going to buy you that car. And that was the last time it was ever mentioned to my mom, but I remember that. And so I made it into the NFL, and I played 5 years. And then after I was on the 2011 Super Bowl team with the New York Giants, we won. And I had the greatest game of my life, and it was in Indianapolis, 47 miles from where I went to high school, and it was a really special experience. And after that game, the New York Giants offered me a 5-year contract extension, and I'm not telling you this to be boastful or to be arrogant or anything other than to motivate you, but after we won that Super Bowl, the Giants thought I was so valuable to the team, they offered me a 5-year contract extension, and they give you a signing bonus. And just for signing my name on a piece of paper, the New York Giants gave me $4 million. That's a lot of money. So with that $4 million, I said, you know what? I finally have enough money. And the first thing I bought wasn't a watch, it wasn't a house, it wasn't a car for myself. I went straight to the Ford dealership and I said, I want a Ford Mustang convertible with peanut butter seats and a CD player, and I want it delivered to this address tomorrow. Because my mother made so many sacrifices for me and my family, I never forgot that promise I made to her. So that was very, very special to me. And to be able to do what I do every single day, you know, Miss Lentz will ask me, hey, did you come on this day? And I do have a very busy schedule, but the things that make my schedule busy are things that I choose to do. So the reason I tell you that story, and the reason I told you what my signing bonus wasn't to impress you. It was to let you know it's real. You know, I wasn't always super fast or strong or could kick really far. I worked very, very hard at that. But once I was able to live that dream, I was also able to let my mother live a dream that she had of driving a Ford Mustang. And about a year after I bought it for her, you know, she sends me a text message picture of her sitting in her car. She said, hey, it's the first day that I've had my car out of the garage since the winter is over, and every time I sit in this car, in these peanut butter leather seats, it feels like you're hugging me. That's a good feeling, guys. And I want you guys to be able to have that, because that's good. So, now I'll take some questions, and you guys literally can ask anything about football, about training, about goals, about school, family, whatever it is you guys want to ask, I will be happy to answer for about the next 10 minutes. First question. Yes, sir.
When you were in high school, did you have a side job?
When I was in high school, the question is, did I have a side job? So my first job I ever had, I was 14 years old, and I was a lifeguard at a pool called the Dimming Dipper. So I would sit on top of about 2 flights of stairs on the top of a slide, and I would watch the kids go down the slide and make sure the kid that just went gets out of the way so the next kid could go. So I did that in the summertime for 3 years, and then the next job that I had, I was a YMCA camp counselor. So those are the 2 jobs that I had, And then I went to college, and then when I was in college, during the summer, I cut grass to be able to make extra money. But when you're in college, and high school really, I played 4 sports, and then, I'm chasing my dream, I'm playing 4 sports, and then on top of that, you're going to school. So I really didn't have a lot of free time, but my family always had enough money for me to have a home to live in, shoes on my feet, clothes on my back, and food in the refrigerator. Aside from that, we didn't have a lot of extra money, but we had enough. And so in order for me to be able to buy a car to drive to school, I had to lifeguard a lot of kids going down that slide for me to be able to buy that 1986 Cadillac Brougham. Yes?
What are your next goals?
My next goals. So one of them is doing what I'm doing right now, is just sharing my journey and my story of what I did in my life, the decisions that I made that helped me live my dream. This is one of my motivations. And I don't make money doing it, but I've made enough money up until this point that I can do some things like this, spend some time with kids so they can live their dream, because that gives me, to me right now, talking to you guys and seeing your eyes really big and walking out of this room, if I just reach 1 or 2 kids and it changes the way that they live their life, to me that's worth it. That gives me life fulfillment. That makes me happy. And it's an awesome feeling to be able to be in a situation where you can do what you want to do during the day. Like, I woke up this morning, I'm like, man, I'm excited to go to Cliffside Park, school number 3, and share my story. But if I wouldn't make the sacrifices I made when I was younger and worked hard to be able to do what I did in the National Football League, I would have to be at a job right now. And there's nothing wrong with that, at being at a job right now, because I would say the majority of your parents are at a job right now. And it's great to be able to have a job, but it's even better to have a job to do that you get fulfillment from. So for me, this is my job right now. I still get paid to. Yes, sir. Well, the question is, why did I want to become a football player and I played 4 sports? Well, it's a good question, because if you would ask me when I was 14, do you want to be an NFL football player or an NBA basketball player? I would have said an NBA basketball player, especially if you would have told me I would have been punting. But I never played football until I was 14 years old, and the only reason that I ever played football is our football coach walked over to the soccer field during practice, because those 2 sports were played at the same time. And he goes up to the head soccer coach and says, hey, do you have anybody who has a strong leg? We don't have a kicker or a punter, and we could really use one. And so the coach points over to the 3rd field, and he says, that skinny kid over there, he doesn't look like much, but he's got a really good leg. And so if I wouldn't have had the courage to try something new when I was 14 years old, because that's a difficult time, guys. I mean, you guys think about how you feel right now. Think about going from middle school to high school, and then on top of that, being really skinny and getting teased by everybody for being skinny, and then on top of that, going and trying a sport you've never played before, and you're definitely, on the football field, I was definitely the smallest kid, but I had the courage, and I had the confidence to go out there and try something new. And if I wouldn't have had that courage, I wouldn't be standing in front of you guys today. But so I encourage you all to try new things, because you never know what your gifts will be. The reason I was able to kind of pick up kicking the football and kicking and punting is because of my background in soccer. And so I had the courage, and I was brave enough to try something I'd never tried before, and it ended up being my gift. Just having a gift is not enough to become the best in the world. You've got to work to develop it to become the best in the world. But we all have gifts. Every single person in this room has a gift. But in order for you to become the best with your gift, you're going to have to work. You've had your arm up in the back there for quite a while.
What was the hardest challenge you had while you were in the NFL?
The hardest challenge I ever had while I was in the NFL. I would say one of the toughest, it's a long story, but I'm going to try to make it quick. So I was in my third year in the NFL. I was playing for the New Orleans Saints, and it was the only time in the NFL. It was the only regret that I had. And I was in the third year in the NFL. It was week 7, and I had started to become comfortable in the NFL. I started to say, you know what, I've worked hard and I've earned this, and I started to relax a little bit, and I stopped practicing what I utilized to be able to get to the NFL, and I was still working hard. I was working as hard as everybody else on the team, but the difference between everybody else on the team and me is everybody on the team was more talented than I was. So if I put in the same amount of work that they did, I wasn't going to be as good as them. So I started to relax a little bit, and I ended up getting cut. And the reason that I ended up getting cut is I was working the same as everybody else on the team, but they were more talented than me. So the story is a lot longer than that, with a lot more details. But long story short is that was kind of a reality check for me that, you know what, I might be in the NFL on the same field as Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and all these other NFL Hall of Fame legends, but I'm not as talented as them. And I'm okay with that, because I've earned the right to be on the same field as them. But in order for me to continue to compete at the level that I'm competing at, I'm going to have to work harder than everybody else. And so that was a reality check for me. And the nice thing about it is I was given another opportunity to play in the NFL by another team. But I will never, ever let hard work be the reason that I'm not successful. And that was one opportunity or one incident in my life that I do have a regret, because I started to relax and think that I was good enough. Yes?
How did you achieve having good grades in high school and at the same time working hard for
So the question is, how was I able to be the best athlete that I could be and also get good grades? Well, if I would have had more time, I would have shared with you guys that school was super difficult for me, because I have extreme attention hyperactive disorder. So you guys have heard of ADD. Well, I had ADHD, so attention hyperactive disorder. It was difficult for me to sit still. It was difficult for me to pay attention. The teachers would say, he's really intelligent. He just can't sit still and listen to instructions. So to answer your question, it wasn't really difficult for me, but I knew in order for me to go to college and then from college to go to the NFL, I knew I was going to have to get good grades. And that was actually more difficult for me than waking up early and going and putting my work in, and then doing everything I had to do during the day, getting my homework done, and then going and working out again. To me, that was the easy part. The homework part, the paying attention in school part, the staying out of trouble part, that was much more difficult for me, because it was something that was almost, I felt like when I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, I almost felt like it was out of my control. And it's still something that's difficult for me now. I'm 33 years old and I still can't sit still, but I use that to my advantage, because if I can't sit still, that's fine if you don't sit still, but make sure that I'm busy and moving around doing something productive with my life, like I'm doing right now. As soon as I get done here, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get my workout done, and then I've got a bunch of different projects that I'm working on right now that are very similar to this. It's sharing my story, sharing my experiences with other people, and I'm writing a book right now. And writing a book for somebody who has ADHD is not easy, because I've got to sit down and I've got to concentrate for longer periods of time, but it's something I'm passionate about, something I'm going to be very proud of when I'm done with the book. But to answer your question, school is not easy, but anything that's worth achieving in your life is not going to be easy, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And if everybody does it, it's not that special. If everybody went to the NFL and everybody won a Super Bowl and everybody bought their mom a car, it wouldn't be that special, would it? So if you want to do something extra special with your life, it's not going to be easy. Yes, sir.
Did you get bullied when you played football?
I did get bullied when I played football, but I got bullied in school for sure. I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and then in 7th grade, I moved to Indiana, and I started in Indiana at probably about 90 pounds. I don't remember the exact weight. I remember my weight when I was In high school, I was 108 pounds, so I'm guessing I was somewhere in the 90s in 8th grade. So I was the new kid, I was the skinny kid. You know, I talked funny because I grew up in Baton Rouge, so I got bullied. And it was tough because by the time you get into 8th grade, a lot of people already kind of had their cliques and they already have their friends. And then there's a new kid that moves into the school, and he looks a little different, he talks a little different. And so my 8th and 9th grade year of school was tough, but the frustrations that I had, I didn't have a ton of friends, and I wasn't as good in sports as I wanted to be, and I was skinny. You know, I kind of took that frustration and I funneled that into just becoming the best athlete that I could be, because if the people wanted to tease me, that's fine. But the only time they're not going to tease you is on Friday night when they're coming to your basketball game, or, you know, Tuesday afternoons when there's a soccer game and you're the one scoring all the goals. So I knew that I could earn the respect that I wanted by becoming the best athlete that I could be. Yes, sir.
Was anything hard for you?
Say it again.
Was anything hard for you?
Was anything hard for me? School was hard for me. Getting bigger, stronger was hard for me. So yeah, there's a lot of things that were hard for me, but, you know, as I told Buddy here, you know, anything in life that's worth you achieving, it's not going to come easy. And that's what makes it so special, is it's not easy to do. Yes? Say it again. How much money did I earn when I played in the NFL? Well, if you Google it, you can find out. So I guess I can tell you guys, this is not like it's like privileged information. But to me, money wasn't my motivation. It was nice to be able to make a lot of money, but it wasn't the reason that I wanted to be in the NFL. You know, there's some people who are motivated just because they want to make money and drive a cool car and live in a nice house, but that was never really my motivation to do what I did and to play in the National Football League. But during the course of 10 years, I made almost $15 million, but it wasn't why I did it. Now it does allow me the ability to do what I want to do now, because you know, I saved my money well, and now I kind of pursue what I'm truly passionate about in life. But I think when you set your goal and your vision on something, just be very, very vigilant and very thoughtful on why you want to achieve that goal. I didn't start working out really hard because I didn't want to get bullied. I started working out really hard because I wanted to achieve something. So just be very mindful of what your motivation is for achieving your goal. Don't ever set your goal to achieve to prove somebody else wrong. Now, you can use that as motivation, but don't use that as the sole reason for why you're doing something. Always ask yourself, what is my why? What that means is, why am I doing this? Why do I want to achieve this? My why was never to make a lot of money. You know, it was a nice added bonus, it was a nice cherry on top, but it was never my why. Yes?
What was the professional football team that you wanted to play for when you were young?
When I was a kid, the question was, what team did I want to play for? So I grew up, my formidable years were in Indiana, and my dad was from Indiana, and he loved the Chicago Bears. Never had the opportunity to play for the Chicago Bears, but my two favorite teams, because when I was your age, I was born in 1982, so when I was your age, the best teams in the NFL were the Bears and the Giants. And I like the Bears because my dad liked the Bears, but the first team that I really chose for my own, the team that I liked, was the New York Giants, and that's because I was watching Lawrence Taylor and Phil Simms and Mark Bavaro and all those guys that were catching touchdowns and making sacks on TV. When I was 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, I was like, wow, man, the Giants are tough. It would be so cool to play for them. And then, you know, you never know what's going to happen in life. You work hard, you treat people kind, and you do the right thing, and you may have the opportunity to play for your favorite team, and I did. Yes.
Does your mom still have the car that you bought?
Oh yeah, yeah, she does. I bought that for about 4 years ago, and I don't think she's ever going to sell it because it wasn't really. The car is not nearly as important as the person that gave it to her. So on her license plate, she got, instead of just getting a regular license plate from Indiana, she got a license plate that says FRMYSON from my son. So I don't think she'll ever sell that car. It's very special to her. Yes? Did I use the four sports to help me in football? Yes. So, just like I recommended to you guys to never be scared to try something new, that, to me, that goes for everything. You never know. You guys, we might have the greatest piano player in the world in this room, and you guys don't know it, and you'll never realize how good you could be at something until you try new things. So, for my kids, especially for my son, I don't want to pick his sport for him. I listen to him and what he wants to try. I try to give him as many opportunities to try things as I can. If he wants to go do ballet, I'll sign him up for ballet. If he wants to play piano, I'll let him play piano. If he wants to play flag football, I'll let him play flag football. I try to give my kids as many opportunities as I can because I don't know what their gift is going to be. I don't know what they're passionate about until they find out. So I encourage you guys, don't be scared to try something new. Be courageous, be brave, and feel confident that, you know what, I can try this, and if I love it, great, I'll continue to do it. And if I don't love it, let me finish the season out or finish the course out, and then I'll try something new. But never be scared to try something new. I got time for 2 more questions, guys. Yes, ma'am, right here. The question was, have I ever only played for the Giants? So, in my NFL career during 10 years, I played for 4 teams. I played for the Saints for 3 years, the Jaguars for 1, the Jets for 2 years, and then the Giants for 5. Yes? Say it again. When I was younger, did I have a different dream? I would say, when I was 7, 8, or 9 years old, I might have dreamed about becoming a police officer or a fireman because, for whatever reason, that was always a person that I admired. And I think the reason that I admired them so much is their entire existence, and teachers included, firemen, police department, and firefighters help people. And I always thought that was really cool. When you see a police car zoom by or a fire truck zoom by, they're always rushing to help somebody. And that's one of the reasons I support the police department and the fire department and teachers the way that I do right now is their entire job, their entire existence is to help other people, and that's something that I always admired. So I would say before I had the dream of being a professional athlete, I always thought being a police officer would be cool. All right, I got time for one more. Yes, sir. Yep.
If you could play any position in the NFL, what position would you play?
The question is, if I could play any position in the NFL, what would it be? Well, I always thought being Eli Manning or Odell Beckham Jr. would be pretty cool. So throwing touchdowns or catching touchdowns is always something. Even right now, being 33 years old, I think that would be really cool. But that wasn't the plan for me. That wasn't what I was the best in the world at. And I was very thankful to just have a locker room in an NFL locker. To be able to walk out of the tunnel with the team and smell the grass and the excitement from the crowd. That's something that I'll miss about the NFL. But I won't miss a lot of things about it, but I definitely will miss the locker room and the guys and traveling from city to city and playing different teams. And my favorite thing, I think, there's 2 things that stick out in my mind that I'm going to miss the most. And that's running out of the tunnel and the excitement of the crowd when we leave the tunnel and get out to the field, hearing the cheers and the roar from the crowd. And the second thing is standing on the sideline when they sing the national anthem. I've always been a big supporter of the military, and I always saw myself as a big patriot. And once I started playing in the NFL, the specialness, the uniqueness of the national anthem kind of changed for me, because for 10 years every time I heard the national anthem, and I'm standing on the sideline with my hand over my heart, it always meant, okay, you're going to get a chance to live your dream in about 90 seconds, because that's the last thing they do in an NFL stadium before kickoff is they sing the national anthem. And so, although the national anthem is still very special to me because I love America, it means that, you know what, in about 90 seconds, you're going to get a chance to live your life, you know, your lifelong childhood dream. So, I will definitely miss that. So, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me here today. I am so impressed of the attentiveness, and you guys were incredibly well behaved. You listened well. I know that's a long time for you guys to sit there and listen. When I was your age, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have been doing jumping jacks in the back. But thank you guys so much for having me. It was awesome. And what I'm going to do is I've got some pictures that I'm going to autograph and send home with you guys. I would love to be able to sit here and write every single person's name on them, but I talked longer than I was planning on talking. But I want to make sure that you guys have something to take home with you. And just to recap it, guys, identify what your vision is, set your goal, develop your plan, and then you got to get to work. Thanks, guys.